Deep within the frozen soil of Siberia, a single fragment of a pinky bone lay hidden for 40 millennia, waiting to rewrite the history of our species. 50,000 years ago, the world was far more crowded than we ever realized. While our ancestors braved the Eurasian steppe, they weren't alone. They were sharing the earth with a powerful, mysterious cousin, the Denisovans. Today, we are venturing far beyond the familiar pages of standard history books. We are not just examining old bones, we are tracking the ghosts of a forgotten world. The prehistoric Earth was not a solitary kingdom ruled by a single human lineage. It was a sprawling, diverse, and deeply complex theater of survival. While sapiens were navigating the globe, other remarkable human cousins were already sitting around roaring fires. In the West, the barrel-chested Neanderthals dominated the icy European plains. But far to the east, hidden within the jagged peaks of the Altai Mountains and spreading across the vast expanses of Asia, a completely different phantom lineage held dominion. They were the Denisovans. Who were these elusive people? How did they manage to conquer some of the most extreme environments on the planet? And if they possessed such extraordinary adaptations, why did they vanish, leaving behind nothing but whispers in our DNA? Their discovery begins with something incredibly humble. In 2008, deep within the Denisova cave in Siberia, researchers sifting through frozen dirt found a tiny, fragmented piece of a pinky bone. It was so small, it could have easily been mistaken for the remains of a prehistoric rodent. However, the merciless cold of Siberia had acted as a perfect, natural deep freeze. For 40 millennia, the permafrost cradled that tiny bone, locking its genetic secrets safely away from the ravages of time. When geneticists finally managed to extract and sequence the DNA, the results sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The bone belonged to a young girl, perhaps only 5 to 7 years old when she passed away. But the true revelation was her genetic code. It was not the DNA of a modern human, nor was it Neanderthal. It was a brand new branch on the human family tree that no one had ever theorized. Scientists named this newly discovered lineage the Denisovans, honoring the cave that served as their frozen tomb. Later excavations yielded a few massive teeth, and incredibly, a jawbone was discovered on the Tibetan plateau, resting at a staggering altitude of over 10,000 feet. That single jawbone, dated to roughly 16,000 years ago, proved the Denisovans were thriving in thin, freezing air thousands of years before anyone thought hominins could survive such extremes. For context, the robust Neanderthals rarely ventured higher than 6,000 feet. To truly understand the Denisovans and the incredible analytical puzzle they present, we must zoom out and look at the grand evolutionary board. The story of human evolution is a messy, sprawling bush of trial, error, and adaptation. Around 700,000 years ago, our ancient predecessors, Homo erectus, achieved something miraculous. With long legs and a restless curiosity, they walked out of Africa, stepping into the vast unknown of Eurasia. These intrepid explorers eventually became the common ancestors to both the Neanderthals and the Denisovans. Around 370,000 years ago, a great divergence occurred. One faction migrated west, marching into the encroaching glaciers of Europe to become the Neanderthals. The other faction turned their faces to the rising sun. They migrated east, dispersing across the sprawling Asian continent, venturing into Southeast Asia and even crossing the treacherous Wallace Line, a deep ocean trench separating the fauna of Asia from Australasia, to reach places like Papua New Guinea. Physically, the Denisovans were built like prehistoric titans. Genetic reconstructions suggest they possessed skulls even wider than those of Neanderthals. They had sloping foreheads, long faces, and no pronounced chin. Their pelvises were exceptionally wide, and they sported massive dental arches. Yet, they had narrower lips and shorter, wider noses than we do. They were a breathtaking blend of raw, primeval power and advanced cognitive capability. That cognitive capability was brilliantly demonstrated during the darkest, coldest days of the last glacial maximum. Survival in the Ice Age required more than brute strength. It demanded revolutionary, abstract thinking. The Denisovans delivered this in the form of a technological masterpiece, the eyed sewing needle. Before this, ancient humans relied on simple bone awls to punch crude holes in animal hides, tying them with sinew. This created loose ponchos, but when global temperatures plummeted, a drafty poncho was a death sentence. The Denisovans engineered a leap in logic. By carving a microscopic hole into the delicate head of a tiny bone needle, they could pull thread through the hides. This allowed for intricate, interlocking stitches. Suddenly, clothing was no longer just draped. It was tailored. It hugged the body, trapping the insulating layer of body heat and sealing out the lethal frost. But the invention of the needle triggered an unintended yet profound cultural revolution. Before the deep freeze, human expression lived on the skin. Tribes utilized body paint and scarification to communicate their identity. When the climate forced them to cover their skin in thick furs, their biological canvases were hidden. The Denisovans, driven by the innate urge to create, shifted their medium. With the eyed needle, they began to sew beads, carved shells, and contrasting furs onto their garments. They invented the concept of fashion. Clothing transcended mere survival gear. It became a wearable language, a loud declaration of the self against the blinding white backdrop of a frozen world. Yet, despite their physical dominance and creative spark, the Denisovan Empire eventually crumbled. Why did they vanish, while Homo sapiens, a physically weaker cousin, inherited the Earth? A sociological analysis of their genetic data reveals a fatal flaw. The Denisovans, much like the Neanderthals, lived in incredibly small, isolated and fragmented groups. Inbreeding was a common, unavoidable reality. When you compare this to the strategy employed by Homo sapiens, the evolutionary victor becomes clear. Our sapiens' ancestors were unparalleled networkers. We maintained large tribes and traded materials across vast distances. If one sapiens tribe figured out a new hunting technique or discovered a new tool, that knowledge spread like wildfire across the landscape through complex social ties. The Denisovans lacked this critical infrastructure. When the climate shifted violently, or when new diseases emerged, their isolated populations lacked the genetic diversity to physically adapt, and they lacked the social networks to culturally adapt. They simply could not crowdsource survival. Their extinction was not a dramatic, bloody war against sapiens. It was a slow, quiet, fading away into the snow. It is a harsh, analytical truth of evolution. Survival of the fittest does not always mean survival of the strongest. It often means survival of the most connected, the most cooperative, and the most adaptable. But evolution is a master of recycling, and the Denisovans did not leave the stage completely empty-handed. As sapiens migrated out of Africa and pushed into Asia, they encountered these ancient cousins. They didn't just compete, they mingled, shared fires, and interbred. Because of these prehistoric encounters, the Denisovans live on today. Let's look at the concrete evidence walking around in the modern world. Consider the Sherpas and the indigenous people of the Tibetan Plateau. They possess an almost superhuman ability to thrive at extreme altitudes, where the air is so thin, a person from sea level would quickly succumb to hypoxia. This extraordinary endurance is powered by a specific gene variant known as EPAS1. Scientific analysis has confirmed that this gene is not a sapiens invention. it is a direct inheritance from the Denisovans. When our ancestors bred with Denisovans, they absorbed this genetic cheat code, allowing future generations to conquer the roof of the world. Or consider a more common trait. Are you a night owl? If you find yourself completely energized at midnight, but struggle endlessly to wake up to a morning alarm, society might label you lazy. But evolutionary biology suggests you might just be tapping into an ancient rhythm. Modern humans evolved near the equator, where day and night remain consistent. Denisovans and neanderthals lived in extreme northern latitudes with chaotic light cycles, winters with almost no sun, and summers of endless daylight. To survive, their circadian rhythms had to adapt to those erratic shifts. When they interbred with sapiens, they passed down these sleep-regulating genes. Your struggle with the modern 9-to-5 schedule might very well be the echo of a Denisovan adaptation trying to navigate an Ice Age winter. Furthermore, researchers have identified a Denisovan gene responsible for transporting zinc within our cells. In prehistoric cold, this gene was a lifesaver. However, in our altered modern environment, studies suggest that an imbalance in how this specific gene operates today might predispose certain individuals to modern mental health challenges. It is a profound reminder that evolutionary traits are entirely dependent on the context of their environment. As we wrap up our journey through the deep past, the story of the Denisovans leaves us with a humbling realization. We often look at ourselves, Homo sapiens, as the flawless pinnacle of evolution, viewing history as a solitary triumph. But the scientific reality is far more poetic. We are not a pure, singular species. We are a magnificent genetic mosaic. We are stitched together from the strength of the Neanderthals, the high-altitude resilience of the Denisovans, and the boundless curiosity of sapiens. We carry the blood of the ghosts who braved the harshest epochs this planet has ever seen. The ultimate lesson the Denisovans teach us is one of connection. Their immense physical strength and brilliant tools could not save them from the dangers of isolation. They perished because they were cut off from each other. Our ancestors survived because they reached out in the dark. They built communities, shared knowledge, and embraced diversity. In a modern world that often feels increasingly fragmented, the prehistoric past screams a vital message. Our greatest evolutionary advantage has never been our individual might. It has always been our ability to stand together. Thank you for joining this deep dive. The next time you struggle to wake up in the morning, or the next time you look at a needle and thread, remember the brilliant, shadowy figures from the Siberian ice. They are gone, but they are not lost. They are a part of you.